Hey guys! So today we are going to answer a question. It's a very good question, so listen up. I got the question, how do I improve in a language that I already know very well? So let's get into it. Now this was a question posted to me by someone, a subscriber of mine, and I think it was such a great question because this is the sort of question that a person who is truly passionate and desires to become a master of their craft would ask. That makes me very motivated to answer and just share my experiences solving this problem, because I've been there too. And it wasn't all that long ago I realized how I can actually achieve this type of mastership. There's many ways to become a master programmer, and there are different takes on what type of master programmer you can be. And I'm unfortunately one of those weird people who just needs to be the best at everything. Or rather, I have to try to be the best at everything. I can't just settle for one thing. I can't just niche myself. I have to be the best at absolutely everything. And usually that ends up with me being decent at a lot of different things. But this person wanted to be specialized in one language, be really, really good at that thing, which I think is great. So this person had realized that he had reached what I call the end of the rabbit hole. He had realized that by just working at a company, there's nothing more to learn about. In this case, it was C#. He can't learn anything more from just working at that one company. So we were talking and I was saying, well, you could switch jobs. And he said, yeah, I could do that. But what are the odds that I'm going to learn more from another job? And I said, that very much depends on the type of problem that the company is trying to solve. You can go the route that I did, for example. I work in a company that is much smaller than what I used to. And the product is very different, but they have a problem that their business model is tied into, which is solving that problem is among the most complicated things that you can imagine. So although the product is much smaller, the problem is magnitudes much bigger than at my previous job. Think of it as this way. The Google search engine represents, or the Google search algorithm, for example, represent one of the hardest problems there is in the world to solve. It can't be solved. Search relevancy cannot be solved. But that's the sort of problem I'm talking about. This is the sort of problem that if you face off against a problem like that as a developer, it will stretch your skills to the limit. Nothing will test you as much as trying to solve a problem that is quite literally so complicated that most people can't even understand how to approach the problem. So getting to be a master programmer, well, that's a very good exercise in trying to achieve that goal. That's one way. And I said, you can go another way as well. You can achieve mastership and a deeper understanding of your language by teaching it. You can teach people about your favorite language, because by teaching you will actually learn more yourself. You may not have noticed this, but hey, that's kind of what's going on right now, right? And then you have other options as well, which is you can start, and this is probably my favorite one, you can start giving things back. You can start making your own additions to the language that you love so much. And that's something that I think is very fun. And I do it whenever I think it makes sense. I have a few small open source projects. I'm actually working on another one right now that I think will solve a problem or at least a problem that I've had a lot in JavaScript. And hopefully it will give some value to some people. And I think that's one of the nicest things you can do, because I argue that there are 3 levels of programming. At level 1, which is the usual level where everybody else is, or rather where most people are, is where you simply build applications. You have a language, you have a suite of tools that have been created, and you create applications for consumers, users, companies, things of that nature. And then you have the second level of programmer, where you talk and promote and encourage, and you are involved in the discussions of new features and so forth within the community. You try to push new ideas and promote them. or maybe you do public speaking or education, that type of thing, which is great. And then you have that third level, which I think is the highest level of programming there is. And that is when you make the tools. You create the tools that level 1 and level 2 use. You create the tools that level 1 are using in their everyday life to be able to do their job, and you level 2 talk about and promote and try to get people to adopt. That's the third level, and that's what I'm talking about. If you want to reach true mastership in a language and be a really, really skilled developer, building tools for other developers is the best way to get there. Because it requires you to not only be a master of level 1 and level 2, it also requires that you know the language that you're building. You need to know it very, very intimately. You need to know the limitations, you need to know the problems that people face when they work in that language. And you have to find a way of solving it. So being a library developer or something of that nature, having open source projects such as, well, for me in JavaScript land, I mean, I can only imagine how great it must feel to be one of the people behind React or Webpack or Angular or jQuery, if you want to go really back in time. These people are among the most skilled developers in the world. Linus Torvalds is probably a god walking in human form. That's the sort of programmer I'm talking about. You are the sort of being the sort of programmer that everybody else has to thank for them being able to do their job as it looks today. That's the sort of programmer I think you should strive to be if you want to get better at something that you're already pretty good at, because that's going to be the sort of thing that not only gives value back to everybody else, but it's also going to train you in ways that you can't perceive. You will have to think in a different way. You have to design things in a different way. You're going to learn so much. I can only speak for myself, and it's been very, very educational for me to make my own small projects. Long term, I think that when I have some more time, I'll have to step it up and maybe start contributing a little bit to maybe the Node Core project, something of that nature, because it's very different to work as a single individual on some small tools for JavaScript, and it's a very different thing to work on things for the standard that everybody, to basically work with the really big open source projects. But it's going to be educational. So yeah, that's basically my tip to you guys. If you're interested in truly mastering your own language, think about, first and foremost, sharing your knowledge with other people. Things as I said, you can teach, things of that nature, or you can join a company that has the type of problem that really stretches your engineering skills to the limit, or you can start making tools for other developers. Have a great day.